Hello, Wobbly Phil here. Just think, in a different part of the multiverse, there are folk like us enjoying a wobble around the twisties on their Suzuki Nudas. Others are popping to the shops on biplanes or G-Striders, or going off-road on an ugly duck. And boy racers are blatting down the highway on Falco Rusticos and B-Kings. Welcome to the weird and wonderful parallel universe of Suzuki's concept bikes. Back in the 1980s, 1990s and early 2000s, Suzuki's design department really pushed the boat out, and I don't mean in the way that Vincent Motorcycles did in the 1950s. It seems Suzuki gave their boffins free rein to think outside of the box, and boy did they let their imaginations run riot. Or they went completely round the bend, depending on your point of view. Disney's film Tron has to take a lot of the credit or blame for the way motorcycle designers were thinking at the time, as well as Japanese anime and an awful lot of Class A drugs. Let's start with the Suzuki Nuda. My little AI helper tells me that Nuda means nude or naked in Spanish. Suzuki's Nuda concept was about as far from a naked bike as you could get, looking more like a confusing slab of plastic with a wheel sticking out of each end. The Nuda made its first appearance at the 1986 Tokyo Motor Show and apparently was a working model, with a GSX R750 engine that was good for 174 miles per hour, but obviously not over the speed humps. With two-wheel shaft drive and hub steering, because yes, every concept bike at the time had to have hub steering. There were allegedly many other high-tech features that we still haven't seen on bikes 40 years later, like a self-adjusting seat that would cater for the corners. Apparently the Nuda Suzuki put on show was fully rideable, although the two-wheel drive system was rumoured to be a reliability nightmare. The previous year's Tokyo show had seen Suzuki showing off a similar concept, the Falco Rustico or Gia Falcon, which seems to have kick-started Suzuki's David Attenborough-like obsession with birds of prey. The Falco Rustico was even more on the lunatic fringe than the Nuda. Apparently, it would have a 500cc square 4 engine, not the RG500 Gamma engine, but a completely new 4-stroke water-cooled power plant with 4 valves per pot and 3 cams. The bike didn't possess a frame, the front and back wheels were just bolted onto the engine. Hub steering was again the order of the day. Not only that, but hydraulics would do away with the final drive on both wheels. Not for Suzuki, those plain old boring belts, chains or shafts. As long-term viewers will know, I'm a mechanical moron, so if anyone out there can explain how a hydraulic final drive would work, do let me know in the comments. Electronic suspension and electromagnetic brakes topped off the Falco Rustico package. Unlike the Nuda, the concept Falco Rustico bike, shown in 1985, was not, it seems, a working prototype, and needless to say, neither the Nuda nor the Falco Rustico went into production. Suzuki continued to pull strange things out of the hat in the 1990s. To kick off the decade, they came up with the Lander, a bike which came factory-fitted with fishing rods, and the appropriately named Ugly Duck, as well as the more conventional-looking water-cooled 125cc XF5. However, on closer inspection, the XF5 was far from conventional, as it once again went down the two-wheel drive rabbit hole. One of the front forks was a conventional bit of suspension, but walk around to the other side of the bike and you'd find the other fork was in fact a shaft drive. Quite why Suzuki seemed to be fixated with two-wheel drive at this time is probably a subject for another video. My uneducated guess is that four-wheel drive was all the rage on cars at the time, so why not two-wheel drive on bikes?
Carnegie, you You've just been quattros!
In 2001, they presented the B-King with a supercharged GSX 1300 engine that was said to put out 240 bhp. Stacked with technology, it featured fingerprint starting, GPS tracking and weather alerts, self-diagnostics, alongside lashings of carbon fibre, stainless steel, aluminium and leather. 2 years later, the G-Strider was rolled out. This had a 900cc liquid-cooled parallel twin engine, powering the rear wheel by a slightly more conventional automatic CVT transmission. Then in 2005 they came up with the sensational Straight-Six Stratosphere. There was even a short clip of it hooning along a road in the evening gloom, neatly obscuring whether it was actually being powered by a Straight-Six or if it had been merely mocked up with a Gixxer engine. I've made an entire video about the Stratosphere. I'll put a link to that in the description to this video. In 2007, they showed not one, not two, but three concept bikes. The Crosscage was a relatively early attempt at replacing the internal combustion engine. Sitting in a sturdy, cross-shaped frame cage were a hydrogen tank and lithium-ion batteries. By the miracle of what scientists call chemistry, oxygen from the air would react with the hydrogen to produce newfangled electricity. From the scant visuals available, the Crosscage appears to be missing a front fork too. Biplane would seem to be an inappropriate name for a futuristic two-wheeled rocket ship, but that's what Suzuki called it, and who am I to argue? The 1000cc liquid-cooled V4 was clearly designed with speed in mind, although the CVT, or continuously variable transmission, puts me more in mind of a DAF than a Kawasaki H2. Lastly, from 2007, the Gemma looks like one of those comfy super scoots. Although fully loaded and two up, you can't imagine its 250cc single-cylinder engine would have got many pulses racing. To top it all off, in 2013 came the Recursion. Unlike some of the others, this actually looked like a motorcycle. A turbocharged 600cc parallel twin, the company said its aim was to produce an easy-handling, torquey machine that made 100 bhp and 70 foot-pound of grunt with a dry weight of just 384 pounds via the extensive use of aluminium and weight-saving features like a single-sided swing arm. To my eyes, at least, the Recursion looks like a potential winner from Suzuki. The firm continued its development until the turn of the decade, even upping the cubic capacity to 700 cc's. But despite persistent rumours, no Recursions ever made it to the dealerships. But as recently as 2020, Suzuki was still filing patents for turbo systems. So, what do you think was their method in Suzuki's concept bike madness? Well, perhaps there was, because not all of these concept bikes were destined for a parallel universe. Some of Suzuki's fever dreams did make it into this universe. The B-King actually went on sale after 6 years of testing in 2007. It didn't last long and was deleted in 2012. Critics said that although it was fairly faithful to the concept, it lacked the latter's supercharger and proved rather polarizing. Most folk were just happier to opt for a Hayabusa. These days it's a bit of a cult classic, with prices holding up comparatively well. And the company continued its bird of prey obsession into the Hayabusa, which itself seemed like some kind of escaped concept bike when it hit the dealerships in 1999. Plus, of course, there's one concept I haven't mentioned. The Katana design was commissioned in 1979, debuted in 1981, and became one of Suzuki's greatest hits. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please consider liking, hyping, subscribing, commenting, and sharing to let YouTube know we're doing something right here at 3 Phils. Thank you.